Oh my God, it's episode 4. Let's go.
You got me head bobbing with this techno intro.
So the techno intro, all right, little inside baseball for the friends of this program. So the techno intro was literally just free music I found to fill the temporary intro while we were working on finding like a distribution platform. So if you're in love with that, I'll make sure I download it because it will not be here for long. It is not.
I dig it. I dig it, and I'm loving the energy on it.
I love that we lost Van.
Bye, Van.
All right, so if you're listening on the podcast, we record on Tuesdays. We do it on the StreamYard platform. It's great. We're live on YouTube while we do it. But what it is we're all in our individual home studios. Then we meet in this digital playground world. And now it's just you and I, Ryan, as Van has disappeared from the broadcast.
That's good. Hopefully for his sake, he's eating because I am very hungry right now.
He didn't even get a word in. No one even knew he was here.
He's not adding a lot so far in this episode, but he'll have to make up for it later.
So I doubt he stepped away to eat, but you're not eating because it's like an early Jewish holiday that I'm not familiar with.
No, I am not. My sister is getting married on Saturday, and as any good sister-in-law, my wife is doing a slim down, and in support, I am doing a 5-day slim down leading up to this wedding, which makes me very sad.
Rejoining us on the program, Van Nunley. So when
sorry about that.
Support, that's all right, brother. Whenever you say in support, you mean like whenever your wife's pregnant, so you get one of those like weighted bellies and you walk around, like you're not actually doing it.
No, I am actually doing it. For lunch right now, we had sauteed tofu and lentils, and it was the saddest thing you've ever seen. And for my next meal, I get sliced apple with cinnamon on it.
So stupid.
And that's
First off, I find this very offensive. I feel like this is straight up shots fired. You're describing my everyday diet.
No,
like tofu and lentils. You add a little rice, some sauteed Brussels sprouts. That's what I eat every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not kosher, but I would prefer a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And double check your mic input because I think it reset when we came back in. So to me, like that, those fun, like get ready for a thing 5 days away, you're going to see results. You're not going to see results.
We'll see, because included in this wonderful slim down, it's a breakfast mocktail, which is not as fun as it sounds. You split half apple cider vinegar, half water, and cayenne pepper powder, and you breathe fire. But
not from your mouth.
Yes, from your mouth, and maybe from the back end later on.
100% where I was going with that. I don't. Hey, isn't it funny in your baseball world how October, November is wedding season for you? Like you haven't been to a summer wedding your entire adult life.
Correct.
And you think this is the norm. This
is wedding season for me. Like Wedding Crashers, when they're like, hot damn, it's wedding season. That's where we're at right now for me. I love that impression, by the way. Almost everyone I know that's a ball player has like either the wedding this week with Veterans Day, because sometimes it's a 3-day weekend,
right?
Or they choose to go the route where you get married around Thanksgiving, either on the front or the back end, because you figure people can travel easier.
Why not the All-Star weekend?
What if you make the All-Star team? Then you got to cancel your wedding.
It's good enough.
Therein lies the joke.
I mean, it's a super good reason. It's the whole thing. I hate when people, this is going to sound super selfish to me. I think I hate when people include stuff into my holiday season. And to me, holiday season is like October 29th through January 2nd. Like if you put anything in my calendar, I think I have a strong personal problem with you.
Well, you're taking like a quarter of the year off the table for all of your loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
That sounds a little selfish. Are you also the guy that puts up Christmas ornaments before Thanksgiving?
Okay, so for years, I ran the park and rec department for a municipality outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Cool. And whenever I ran that, I had to decorate like all the stuff. So it was like municipal buildings. It was like just everything. I had to put up Christmas decorations. Like, so I think I'm Scrooge when it comes to Christmas decorations. I'm burned out. I no longer have interest. I don't own decor. I like you're looking behind me, like all my stuff. This is it. I have one corner of stuff. I have no knickknacks. I don't own a thing.
The decorations don't bother me. Go crazy. It's benign to me. It's banal to me. I don't even notice. What I notice is the music. Like I can't stand Christmas music because it starts the day after Halloween. Once the spooky stuff stops, they just skip right over Thanksgiving, skip right over Ryan's wedding season, and go straight to Christmas.
That little bell thing into Mariah Carey, though. Like, I don't know if there's a more iconic like play into music anywhere. Like 7/8 Army can get back. Like that. All I want for Christmas is to me the ultimate start.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna play the like psychological need version of this game because I am not a person that celebrates Christmas anymore. I grew up celebrating it, but now you know, me and my wife we have a Jewish household. But I actually love Christmas decorations on the streets that I drive by. I don't mind Christmas music on the radio. It's the winter season is cold. It can be sad. The nights are long and the days are short. Like, it would be really easy to have seasonal depression. And I think the Christmas decorations, the lights, yeah, man, you're
I know all about this
right now.
You're describing my diet. You're describing my holidays. Yeah, good job.
No, I think if there's any reason to bring cheer, to bring happiness to everyone, even as a person that doesn't celebrate the holiday, I appreciate it. I love it. And we are going out of our way to take a vacation to London to see the Christmas markets because it's so festive. It's fun. There's hot wine that you walk around with, and it's totally acceptable. There's carnivals, there's fudge, there's fried everything. I love it.
You know what's funny about the seasonal depression thing is Van and I also host a show called 2 Men On. We do it here in Albuquerque. It's great. We do it every day of the week. We had a banger of a summer. It wasn't until like the week after, so I'm talking like 5 business days after daylight savings time, where me and Van were like, oh, it's time to start fighting. Like, it's time to start like daylight savings time is hit. I think we'll have an argument about dumb stuff. Like, because it's like that for you, Van. It's just like a switch of the flip.
Well, I decided this year I'm going to skip out on my seasonal depression. I started exercising and eating better ahead of time, not for a wedding to slim down, like baseline, like all the time. So I'm going to go to the tanning bed. I'm going to go outside and make sure I get some melanin and vitamin D in my life a little more, and we'll see how it works this year.
You haven't started the tanning bed yet, I can tell.
Oh no. I will put on SPF in the tanning bed. It's just the release of vitamin D that I think will significantly help me.
Fred, have you ever done a tanning bed?
I have, yeah.
Fred?
It didn't go well.
Oh yeah. Well, all the way down to my ankles.
What, you had your feet hanging out the end?
It's too tall, dog.
One of my buddies on the baseball team in college, we used to go, but we were embarrassed that we were going tanning. New Haven, Connecticut, it's cold and dark and cloudy and not sunny there also in the winter. But there was a Quiznos right next door.
Nice.
Not a sponsored ad. And we would say that we were going to get some Sammys. That was our code word for going to the tanning salon.
Sammy's, man, because you don't eat Quiznos, was a little round bread sandwich that
were like a taco.
They were like a taco. They were made for like the idea was like get one with your Starbucks cup, which was next door, and then like looked apart. So it's still on brand for Ryan. He thought he was hiding something with the tanning salon, but no, he was actually still Valley Girl the whole time.
Yeah, Valley Girl up in the Northeast.
Important question. Did you go underwear or bikini or baseball shorts or just twig and berries out?
Yeah, I'm typically a boxer briefs kind of guy, and I rolled them up. You know, I scrunched them to make them into a bikini type item.
All natural. That's how I went. Yeah, just in the buck. Just did not matter. That's the energy I bring to life, though.
Is it in the buck or in the buff?
I think it's in the buff.
No,
buck
not for
naked
me.
In the buff.
You
buck
were
naked in the buff. Buff naked in the buff.
You were inside of a male deer, whilst also in the tanning bed.
I'm trying to think of a wattage joke here. I don't necessarily have it. Hey, so Ryan, so you're mentioning like hey, you're the Jewish religion, like that's how you celebrate. Is that your world that surrounds you, or do you feel like isolated during like Christmas holiday season? Do you feel like it's like you and your family versus like the Christians, or does that not resonate?
It's definitely not a battle, right? You know, we all live in harmony. It should be a peaceful world, even though some people, want to create issues.
Are we talking about Kyrie right now? You going into Kyrie?
I'm not name dropping anyone.
Right.
The issue is our community here is strong, and we are a big group, and our family and our extended family and our community and our temple here, we all support each other and we all have fun. And I know that having grown up celebrating Christmas on December 25th, it feels a little weird not doing anything. So maybe we order Chinese food and watch a movie. That's our like go-to. But otherwise, we enjoy the festive season, and we really play up Hanukkah for the kids in the family, since religiously it's not an important holiday, but then the Jewish kids feel left out. So we make it, a thing. But yeah, no, I don't feel left out, or I don't feel against anyone. It's just what we choose to do.
It's weird that we celebrate Christmas the exact same way. Like I spent a lot of Christmas at the Rice House. Is it called? It's not called Rice House here in Albuquerque, is it? That's like a Midwest thing.
It is a Midwest thing. You said Rice House, and I'm like, is that a specific restaurant? I don't know what.
Yeah, I was like, is that an inappropriate thing?
Chinese restaurant?
Wait, is that edgy? I didn't know that was. Is that on the edge? Like I feel like
if it's a brand proper name, then no.
I'm low key thinking about it right now. It's definitely not. It's just like it's like saying like Mexican restaurant or like Italian or also I'm from the Midwest. Like keep that in mind. Like it could very much be terrible, and I have no idea because I grew up in the culture of it.
All right. We're not gonna judge you.
I know we're a little early to beat this Christmas tree to the ground already, but
Right.
What is the Jewish version? What is the Hanukkah version of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Because I want to watch it this year.
Probably
is it a Woody Allen movie? I don't
Adam
know.
Sandler. I think he did like a 12 Crazy Nights or something.
Oh, that's
okay.
That I personally haven't seen, but maybe now need to.
I kind of have to now, don't you?
Yeah. Well, if we're going to talk about it on the show, I need to watch it.
I don't feel like Hallmark is pumping them out one after one.
No, they're probably staying with the majority.
That's all about celebration.
I can't even think of one.
No, I can't
Fiddler
either.
on the Roof? Fiddler on the Roof? Is that the one?
That might be the one.
Also,
Yeah,
haven't
there we
seen
go.
it.
It's pretty good actually.
Feeling lack of culture right now.
I feel like if us two are explaining you what the culture is, that's not a good example for the class. Like, don't take that one.
Uncut Gems? Is that a Hanukkah movie?
No, it is not.
Oh,
A lot of
okay.
anxiety in that film. That was I left seeing Uncut Gems sweating. Like I've never.
Yeah, it's just.
Did you watch it like on a plane or something, Ryan, where you couldn't really enjoy it?
Definitely on a plane. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like I watched it like in theater. Like the buzz was. No, I didn't. I watched it at the house. I watched it in the house, but I remember like getting up all the time, being like, I can't handle this. Like I have to. There's too much energy here that's negative.
Yeah. When did Adam Sandler become such a good serious actor? I miss the chick flicks that he was in.
Literally, that movie is when he became a good actor.
No, Ryan ruined it when he ruined that baseball movie he was in by making the Red Sox winners, and then Sandler was like, "No, we're done. Like it's all ruined now. It's ruined by LeVar and his Red Sox."
Sorry. I mean, is Fever Pitch ruined now too for you?
Oh, I don't watch that. Are you messing with me right now? I don't watch that. I can't watch that.
You don't love
You're not
Jimmy
a Fallon guy?
He's like the best.
Oh, Cardinals year. Yeah.
I don't watch that at all. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart every time. Rookie of the Year awards are out, boys. Manager of the Year awards come out this evening at the time of recording. Also, the qualifying deadline is here. We can obviously talk awards all we want, and we will. Like we'll preview them and go through them. But here in about 10 minutes, our friend Bob Nightengale will join us from USA Today. He's an absolute dude, does the terrestrial program all the time. And we said, hey, we're going to talk awards, so we're going to talk them with you, Bob. So he will come on. Now, Bob doesn't get, I believe, a vote in this one, Vane. He gets the Hall of Fame stuff, but the way this kind of works out here, it's 30 writers get to vote. It's like the beat writer for every team is my understanding. And that's why there's never like a unanimous thing, because there's always like someone with a grudge or someone with a vendetta.
Yeah, the BBOA, right? Baseball Writers of America do the awards voting.
To be a member is you have to travel, I think, with a team, or you have to be the beat writer for a team. You have to pay like a due. Like that's it. There's not like a ton of qualifications to it.
And there's only 30.
I'm surprised it's not a 30-way tie.
They choose one guy per team?
Yeah. Well, to vote, yeah. I mean, I think teams can have multiple whatevers, But like the kid today, we're not breaking news. The kid in Seattle. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Julio Rodriguez.
Thank you. Rodriguez had 29 first place votes and 1 second place vote. So it's like it's not a unanimous thing, and it's different with the Hall of Fame, obviously. Like that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so it's only 30 of them, and it's kind of traditionally the same guys because MLB beat writers don't change at all.
Interesting. Who was the who got the 30th first place vote for Rookie of the Year in the American League?
Let me pull it up real quick. It was the catcher though. Adley, is that his name?
Adley Rushman, the Baltimore writer, probably voted for their dude.
So and I got it right here.
I'm surprised the Houston writer didn't vote for Jeremy Pena.
Julio Rodriguez, 29 first, 1 second place. Adley Rushman, who, by the way, like if we're going to really have that conversation, may have deserved more. He got 1 first place vote, 18 second, and then 9 third. Steve Kwan of the Guardians, 10 second place votes, 14 third. Bobby Witt Jr., who, Van, you predicted to me off of this program, you thought would be the Rookie of the Year. He finished in 4th. And then Jeremy Pena, who, if they'd have done this vote after the playoffs, he would have been your obvious winner. So there you go. That's kind of how that one played out. George Kirby also receiving some votes for the AL.
They got it right. I mean, he's an absolute stud. He's a friggin' rookie who's a silver slugger. Of course he's going to win the Rookie of the Year. And
the fastest guy ever to be 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. If you're the fastest guy ever to do anything in the major leagues at this point after 130 years, that's pretty damn impressive. But to do something that is such a standard still of 2020, you don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If he finds a way to get 30-30 or 40-40, we're talking MVP now.
I think he's going to be in that discussion for a long time. He's an absolute stud. He's a generational talent.
And he's fun to watch. Handsome guy. He plays the game the right way. He's got that whole fan base rallied around him. Good for him. Good for that fan base.
The obvious comparison is Ken Griffey Jr., right? Like the obvious comparison is center field, Seattle. They would definitely know how to like market, put him out. They had some success with another outfielder named Ichiro. You would see with the money, because he's already locked up, you would think that he should be the face of baseball in the Pacific Northwest for what's a real number in Major League Baseball with the way they're eating, dieting, and taking care of themselves professionally and medically. Now, 10 years, like he could have a career like that if he doesn't have something devastating. And I don't think it's unfair to make very early on Griffey comparisons because he's plus offensively, defensively, and kind of everything involved.
I haven't listened to any interviews that he's done. How is his English? Because he could be the face of baseball, not just in the Northwest. He could be the face of baseball across the country if he can speak the language and he could do an interview, do a couple funny commercials. I think I'd love to see him go the Peyton Manning route of show that he doesn't take himself too seriously. He can go out and play the game and be an elite player, but also have fun with it and show the people his silly side.
Yeah, we've had this conversation ad nauseum, and as big baseball fans, like it hurts me that baseball, its level of popularity with all the great North American sports is slowly trending downward. And I think it's because what you just mentioned is like these young superstars who baseball dork like me already knows, already appreciates, already has a taste for, already watches on like a random Wednesday night in April. You know, I have that taste already. But MLB isn't doing a great job marketing these young superstars because like maybe their personalities are different. Maybe it is a language barrier. Maybe it is a cultural barrier. Have you, Ryan, in your experience, have you played with somebody who was like just a little twitch, a little smidgen away from like superstardom, at least like in the public's eye?
Well, the first guy that comes to mind for me is Dustin Pedroia, and he was a superstar within the small bubble of the Northeast, right? And he had the personality to go with it, right? He's a smaller guy. He's larger than life in his personality. He's a bigger personality than David Ortiz, even than Big Papi. But outside of the Northeast bubble and outside of Nesson that covered the games, I didn't see him doing State Farm commercials. I didn't see him doing national banking commercials. What I saw him doing was New Balance. But those aren't nationally televised commercials. And on every New Balance commercial, he's fielding the ball and he doesn't have a line. What I'd love to see is the Patrick Mahomes treatment of the State Farms.
Yeah.
He's playing a different funny character in every commercial that he's in, and he's just a likable person off the field.
I'm recognizing that we're talking about adults here. Like, I'm recognizing that, but I think I'm going to put kid gloves on for a second. Does the Seattle Mariners really want that? Does Major League Baseball really want that? Like we do as fans, hey, we want everyone to come up and have the immediate splash that Bryce Harper had. But like, I'm going to use a different analogy because it's adjacent, but we're not in baseball. I'm going to use the NFL. So when Andrew Luck was drafted number 1 overall by the Colts, everyone offered him all the money. That was Subway and that was State Farm. And he said, no, I'm here to work. And they ended up giving all that money to RG3, if you guys recall. And then RG3 puttered out. Like the spotlight got too big too early. Like it was all this pressure in the world. Some other guys I can think of that seems a little similar to. I can give you some NBA examples. But to me, I think it's a real calculated approach by Major League Baseball to, you can have guys who play the game really well, really early, but they're not overexposed. And I think that's by design. But Ryan, you're on the inside. Is there any truth to like organizations, teams, or MLBPA trying to like protect dudes from too big of a spotlight too early?
No, I don't think that you're trying to keep guys away. I think that it comes with a maturity level, and the whole world with social media has changed. When I was coming up with the Red Sox in 2009, 2010, there was the media training basically said, delete your profile. The only thing that this can do is get you in trouble. Nothing good can come from this for you or for the team. And now that we flash forward to 10 years later, everybody that has a brain is trying to build a brand. Because if you don't have a brand, you're leaving money on the table. You're not connecting with your fan base, which means you're not selling uniforms for the team or for your benefit. You're not selling baseball cards. You're not putting butts in the seats. So I think baseball is just behind the 8 ball with this, right? You see basketball players and football players that take it upon themselves to build a brand, whereas baseball is still maybe not discouraging it as much, but they're definitely not encouraging it.
Yeah, it's weird to me how much more visible NFL players are. Like the casual fan will be able to pick more NFL players out of a lineup than MLB players. And they're wearing friggin' helmets all game. How do you know what they look like? How easier are they identifiable when they are blocking their friggin' face for 3 hours every Sunday? And baseball players are out here every day with just a hat on, and you still don't know what they look like.
It feels like the NFL and the NBA have gotten smart, and there's Players Association and the league are kind of collaborative in trying to build the brand. Because if they work on it together and they build the sport, then all boats rise in that. And I would love to see baseball do that, where the league starts pushing the players. The league starts kind of collaborating and building the players' brands and building them up. Yes, they might cost more money to the league, but they're going to bring in more revenue as well.
I'm trying to think of guys who really, because, oh God, Van, I'm doing it again. So everything's pro wrestling, right? So the idea that like you have the wrestling event in the ring, which is your baseball game. But the best parts of pro wrestling are everything that happens around the wrestling in the ring. So I think a really good example of that in our lifetimes was Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman did that. Dennis Rodman took like that energy on the court, which by the way, he didn't have in Detroit. Don't act like the Dennis Rodman of Detroit was the Dennis Rodman of Chicago, because he was not. And then he was able to start creating that brand. And then you saw the NFL try to do it. They tried to do it with Ricky Williams. They tried to do it with some guys that had big personality. Didn't necessarily go that same way. You have to have like a certain type of athlete. And in Major League Baseball, I don't think I exactly know who that guy is yet, but you have to have that certain type of athlete that's like, not only do I want this spotlight, I want to learn it. And then I want to be able to teach everyone else in the Major League Baseball PA or everyone else in the game, because there's not a blueprint that I see in Major League Baseball.
I don't necessarily agree that there's not that guy, because Frendor go in roll no problem, right? He's got the blue hair. He's hitting 20 home runs a year. He's in the biggest market. You have Jazz Chisholm wants to be that guy.
Sure.
He introduced himself to Derek Jeter on the first day he was in the big leagues. He says, "Just teach me how to get to the Hall of Fame." He's a big picture mindset guy. He's got blue hair too, for God's sakes, and he's got the huge personality. I mean, he's in Miami, which doesn't help, but he could be that guy. There are those guys around the league that you could put there and that could handle it. It's just a matter of everyone wanting that to be the thing that happens.
I think they were like leaning towards Tatis Jr. being that guy. And unfortunately, you know, the injury and the PEDs kind of took away from that. But you got a lot of these guys, Acuna Jr., Soto. Juan Soto has a giant personality. On the same team, Manny Machado, giant personality.
O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, O'Neal Cruz. Young guy. I mean, there's so many options out there, and they're just kind of not doing it.
Well, and you know what's interesting too, because we're talking about the American League and National League Rookie of the Year today before Bob Nightingale joins us, is in baseball, you don't necessarily have to have that award to start your career. Like,
No.
I think in the NBA, it's important to win Rookie of the Year. I think in the NFL, if you're a skill position guy, it's important to win that conference Rookie of the Year or whatever. But in Major League Baseball, so many very good Major League Baseball players come from every different aspect. Like, how many 3 pitchers in the last 15 years or something have won Rookie of the Year? We know that's not right. We know they're better than some of the skill guys out there. So to me, I don't necessarily think you need the moniker of this award to be that personality if Major League Baseball and those personalities want to go get it.
I agree. There's people start to figure it out. Baseball is a maturity type of sport, whereas then you feet, and then 2 year, 3 year, 4, you keep getting better.
And you see guys emerge in the middle later of their career in baseball. You don't see that in a lot of other sports. There's something that always can, like a switch you turn on in the middle or end of your career in baseball that you don't get in a lot of other sports. You don't see like a journeyman quarterback just like randomly getting well. I think the only one I could think of in the past couple decades is literally this year in Geno Smith. But like every year you'll see a journeyman baseball player emerge and then go from into the bench guy to all-star level. And that's the only sport you see this in.
Miles Mikolas. There's
Sure.
examples of that, because I think, because you can keep going all the time in baseball, right? So say if you come up and you're the hot phenom and you have this thing, let's say you're a pitcher, because I think pitchers are easier to die. I don't know if this is correct, but the arm will throw high 80s, 90s. Cool. That's great. It will do that pretty regularly. You work on it all the time, it'll throw mid 90s. You stop working, you'll never get that thing back over 75. And because there's so many options for baseball players, you can kind of stay dedicated to your craft, even if you're not in the biggest spotlight. If you're Wynn Bernard's story in independent baseball, or if you're whatever, and you can just keep growing the entire time, you can eventually make that van. I think that example you're talking about, where all you need is an opportunity. But then those stories they're a different kind of special. They're not like face of the league stories.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think a great recent example is Rafael Montero, reliever for the Astros. He was a more highly sought prospect, the same class as Jacob deGrom, but he was the highly touted prospect. And for, the better part of half a decade, he was considered a bust. Just as soon as last year, had a 7.5 ERA. You get the right pitching coach and you're in the right situation. He got all-star votes this year, and he got a big 3-year contract extension. That doesn't happen in a lot of sports, but you'll see a guy who just goes through the process, keeps working, and eventually, that switch turns on and they're able to turn it up.
Yeah, sorry guys, I just had we've been on hold all day for Taylor Swift tickets, and we just got access.
Congratulations.
Okay. Congratulations, I think.
Phoenix? You get the Phoenix ones?
I don't know. I hope it's the Denver one, because I'm not planning on traveling. You see my wife just run in and grab the computer and run back out of the room.
They've been shutting down Ticketmaster all day with that. I don't know if you guys saw that. Whenever
I don't know if they're shutting it down or if they can't handle the volume. Yeah. Did you see the GIF? There's 8 billion people officially on Earth now, and all of them want Taylor Swift tickets.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty good gift. That's pretty smart.
Hey, I know of one person who doesn't want to go.
Joining, you're the one guy, Van.
It's me. It's me.
You're the one guy in the whole world that is not pro.
We don't need to be coy about it. It's me.
But it went live at like 10 a.m. and literally Ticketmaster crashed like 100 times. Joining us on the program, friend of the show, friend in real life, Bob Nightengale of USA Today, who knows a little bit about awards in the game of Major League Baseball. Bob, welcome. Bob, are you with us, brother?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, we got you, Bob. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thanks. Yeah, doing great. How about you guys?
Good. The question on all of our minds before we talk Major League Baseball awards, Bob, is: are you paying $8 to get the blue check mark on Twitter?
I'm not. I don't know if the office will, but I'm not. Got a better principle. We'll see what comes next after Twitter.
We need to start a mock Bob Nightengale Twitter. We're like fake Bob Nightengale, and it's like A-Rod unretires to play shortstop for Mariners next year. Just complete lies out in the Twitterverse.
We should call it.
Yeah, there have been those things out there already. It's wild. I mean, with the verified things, especially at the trade deadline, you see all kinds of wild things out there, and it's easy to fool people. It happens all the time.
We'll call our fake handle official Bob Nightengale ESPN.
Perfect. Perfect.
You would have to think that like USA Today now has to have like a legal observation or someone to watch out for that stuff, right? Like now all of a sudden it's like, hey, we have to discredit things because for $8 you can make up whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, Twitter's ran a long time now. You always figured there was going to be something after Twitter. There was going to be a bunch of things. I mean, before it was, Facebook, and people move on from that to Instagram. So Twitter's been around for a long time. It would be interesting to see, what's the new model that kind of disseminates the information.
Bob, we're talking the awards coming out this offseason after Major League Baseball. We're talking the AL and NL Rookies of the Year. We were having a conversation about how it's not always as clear cut as it seemed in the AL. Julio Rodriguez, congratulations to he, but by no means a surprise, Bob. How long has that kind of been the talk of writers around the country about how good he is?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for the Seattle Mariners to give them roughly $220 million worth of guarantee, at least 120, it's easy for him to pick up the rest. I mean, it shows you how good he is for them to say, you know what, halfway through his rookie season, they believe he's going to be that good. They believe they got a bargain. So, yeah, just a marvelous talent, great guy, great clubhouse presence. And certainly a guy that you can sell tickets with. It reminds you really of this generation of Ken Griffey Jr., just as far as that kind of lovable guy up in Seattle.
Someone else was
Bob, I mean, it was an absolute stacked rookie class this year, especially in the American League. You think we're going to look back on this year as one of the great rookie classes?
We could. I mean, it's a fabulous class. You're absolutely right in both leagues. But, maybe we'll see, maybe this will be a trend. Maybe we'll see this year in and year out as far as these type of rookies coming up. It's a young man's game. There's more opportunity. More guys are being rushed to the big leagues. So, yeah, we could see this for a while, perhaps.
Bob, as these awards are coming out, the Rookie of the Year, maybe not so much, but the Manager of the Year, which is coming out now, later tonight, how much goes into the success of the team in that individual award, right? If a rookie has the best season, but he's on a team that doesn't make the playoffs, do they have less of a chance? And same question for Manager of the Year.
Not really for rookie. Rookie is almost like it's like bonus points. So the fact the Mariners made the playoffs and Kansas City didn't, kind of like a bonus credit for Rodriguez over, say, a Bobby Witt. So that's all. That's even a Cy Young, it's more that too. Like, okay, if you're pitching for a contender and you're pitching for a team that was out of the race in mid-April, it makes a little bit of a difference. Manager, I mean, you either got to win or contend. The votes are due right after the playoffs start. So it's the reason why Bruce Bochy never won one with the San Francisco Giants, even though he did so great in those 3 World Series years in San Francisco. I think his only Manager of the Year award was in San Diego in 2006. Same thing this time. Dusty Baker's not on it just because they were in the World Series last year, and the votes are due right when the regular season ends. So that's why you see the three finalists the way you are. I think the American League Manager of the Year award, that's going to be the closest vote of all the awards. It really will be. I think Francona wins it, but it's going to be close over Service and in Seattle and Brandon Hyde of Baltimore. I think Showalter in the National League wins in a landslide.
Yeah, I agree on all fronts. I think Brandon Hyde has an edge just for the fact that the expectations for the Orioles were so low. It seems like their rebuild is 2 years ahead the way they played in the second half. Who would you personally give the edge to for the American League Manager of the Year?
It's tough. I might go Francona just because he had the youngest team to ever reach the postseason. Played great baseball down the stretch. They'd made no moves whatsoever at the trade deadline to help the team. On that side, Baltimore hurt their team by making some moves, by trading away Mancini and that sort of thing. If Baltimore had made the playoffs, completely different story. Then I think Brandon Hyde wins a runaway. So I think Francona wins, but I'm not positive about that one.
Is it Dave Roberts' downfall, the 111 during the regular season, but not the World Series? And I know the voting is done before, but if he were to win it, is that going to be kind of an asterisk part of his conversation in the NL?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has zero chance of ever winning it again unless he had just a lousy year. It's almost like a comeback player of the year award. You're only going to win that award once.
Right.
And I think managers, you have to come off a bad year. Same thing with Dusty Baker. They could win 130 games next year, win the division by 20 games. It's almost impossible to win it just because the team's been so great. So that's why Roberts, really has no chance because the team is that good, that talented. And, it's you say, okay, who can manage that team and still win 100 games at a talent level? So, that part hurts him because they've been so successful.
Is there somebody not on the list that you think deserves some credit? Dusty Baker aside, finally got off the schneid, won himself a World Series. Is there another manager not on the final list that you think deserves attention?
No, like I said, I put Dusty Baker on there, but that's about it. The top of my head that jumps out. Certainly nobody in the nobody else in the AL Central. If you want to put Kevin Cash in there, by them making the playoffs, they've been consistently good too. So I think it's hard for him to win the award as well. But he had another great year. National League, I think they got that pretty much about right. Is Snicker on there?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. So he deserves to be on there. He's not going to win it just because they won the World Series last year. But but I think the three finalists on each side are about right.
Bob, when it comes to a baseball award season, which award is your favorite to talk about, to debate, and ultimately to award?
Well, I love the MVP awards, and those are the biggest. Those are the most prestigious. That's the one I vote on. You're only allowed to vote on one award. If you vote for two, you can't have a MVP and Cy Young. It's got to be MVP and a lesser award. So I've always voted on the MVP award. That's 1 through 10. Kind of fascinating. And I voted for the National League MVP award, and but it was tough going 5 through 10. It really was. I left a couple, at least one big name off. It's like, wow. It was tough. There were that many guys that had many great years. So, and I do believe in America in the MVP awards, it's got to be a team that contends or makes the playoffs. So this whole Judge Ohtani argument, I think Judge should win this thing in a runaway. Ohtani, the Angels were out of that race by the end of May. Judge, if Judge isn't doing what he does, the Yankees don't. They certainly don't win the division. They may not even sniff the playoffs. So I'm big on just what a guy means for a team. You know, if it was just about the best player award, we should have given to Barry Bonds 20 straight years. I mean, he was that great.
It's funny you bring it up that way, Bob, because there's not like a handbook for how to vote, right? So there's your interpretation of the game, and maybe it's the eye test, or maybe it's advanced analytics, or it's all these different things. But a little bit, I feel like there's vendetta in some of this stuff. A little bit, I feel like there's personal bias. Do you feel like that weighs as heavily as I felt like it did previously in some steroid eras or the late 90s? Or do you feel it's kind of dissipated in a way to where everyone is uniform in their voting?
No, I think it's less uniform now than ever before. Before it was always, hey, what do you do to help your team win?
Right.
If you go back to 1988, Kurt Gibson won the MVP award over Darryl Strawberry of the Mets. Strawberry had a much better year, wasn't even close statistically, but hey, without Kurt Gibson, the Dodgers don't make the playoffs. In '91, Terry Pendleton wins it for Atlanta. They went from last to first. They don't sniff the playoffs without Pendleton. You know, he won over Barry Bonds. I mean, even the year Jeff Kent went over Bonds, you know, Bonds had better numbers. I think nowadays there's too many reporters that just look at the WAR ratings or something like that, just statistics. But I think there's a big difference between the word most valuable and it's not the best player award. I think too many people fall in that trap.
And you mentioned like the advanced analytics. If you're using WAR, except for like a freak outlier year that Judge had this year, isn't somebody like Shohei Ohtani, who I consider one of the greatest of all time, just because he could do everything on a baseball field, doesn't that give him a leg up every single year? And you're going to have a historic year like Judge to knock Ohtani off the MVP throne.
Yeah, I mean, Ohtani's going to finish second, and great accolades. But yeah, just the fact he's going to finish second because of he does both so well. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you want to, you can say, okay, why would we have the MVP award? Let's give it to him before the season even starts, because he's the only two-way player that does that. Judge did have a higher WAR score for what it's worth. But yeah, Even the WAR thing is so flawed. I remember a couple of years ago, they had the top defensive catchers in baseball. Yadi Molina was in the top half. And Molina, guys will argue, was a greater defensive catcher than Johnny Bench. The greatest defensive catcher a lot of people have ever seen. So, that WAR thing is very flawed.
What other stats would you say are the most flawed other than WAR?
Yes, a big one. I mean, I know there's stats like expected batting average. I don't need expected batting average. Just what's his batting average, sort of thing. And I want to know, it's funny. It's like this spring I did a long sit down with Albert Pujols. And I said, Albert, what stat are you most, that you like the most, the one that you're most proud of? And he says the one people don't talk about, RBIs. He goes, you got to drive in runs to win games. He goes, if not, why keep score? Why have a scoreboard? And I think people lose fact of that what are you doing to help your team win? It's either scoring runs or driving runs in. A lot of these guys that get so excited about walks, it's like, you still got to score. And I don't care. A lot of these guys get walks. All they're doing is clogging the bases. They're not Ricky Henderson.
Whenever you sat down with Albert at the beginning of the year, Bob, obviously the DH was new in the NL and not necessarily did every team know how it was going to play out, but it gave Albert Pujols an opportunity to go to 700, right? And that was, in my opinion, the most exciting part of the year. Did you guys have any sort of that conversation at all before the year? Was there an expectation that you were aware of from he in that pursuit?
No, just said he was hoping to get there, and it meant the world to get that. That's such a magical number. And if he fell short, he wasn't going to come back. Even if he ended up at 698, 699. So that was it. I mean, he's already proud of his career. He knows he's going to the Hall of Fame. But 700 is such a special number. He really won that number. And for him to have that finishing kick he had, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
To piggyback on the DH question, what were your two views on the universal DH going into the year and then after the year? I was always for it personally, and you saw like the Albert Pujols story. That doesn't happen without universal DH this year. Bryce Harper leading the Phillies into the playoffs. That
Put 'em in
doesn't
the
happen
playoffs,
this
yeah.
year without the DH. Going in before the year and then after, seeing the way the season played out, what are your thoughts on the universal DH its first full year?
Well, I think you had to have the rule, both leagues either don't have a DH or have it. And people want offense. The offense has been terrible. The pitchers can't even bunt anymore. So it's almost, dreadful to watch it. And actually, I thought, guys like Justin Verlander spent his entire career in the American League. Clayton Kershaw spent his entire year in the National League. And I thought that was unfair. It's like, wait a minute now. If you put like a Justin Verlander in the National League West, what would his numbers look like? And I think it was really hurting the pitchers more than anything, as far as people not realizing what a difference it is, not pitching, not having to pitch to a DH. So I thought it worked fine. I mean, the DH position, let's be honest, there's only a few DHs, in baseball, true DHs. Mostly it's just a day of rest for an outfielder or first baseman. But yeah, I thought it was fine. And I think one day here when they expand. We wouldn't have leagues. It won't be American League and National League. They'll just do a jumbo realignment.
Interesting.
Ooh, interesting.
Speaking of new rules and changes coming to baseball, what are your opinions on the new rules with lack of shift and the pitch clock and how that's going to play into offense going forward?
Everybody talks about the pitch clock, just how well it works. Talk to scouts and people in the minor leagues and say it really, makes that game move faster. I don't care if it's a game 4 hours or 5 hours. If there's action, that's what also you care about. So hopefully this will provide some more action. The shift is funny in the minor leagues. It didn't make any difference at all with batting average. Very slight difference. It's almost like how many times we see a shift and nobody's, playing at second base. So it's actually costing pitchers. So, we'll see. I also be very intrigued with the shift as far as, okay, what team starts bringing another outfielder? And you can have the infielders in the dirt all you want, but you can certainly bring another outfielder in. Don't play with the center fielder. So I'll be curious with that. And I'm hoping with the with the larger bases and in the balk rule, you're allowed to throw over twice. If you throw over a third time, you better get them or it's automatic balk. Hopefully that brings some more stolen bases in the game.
I just assumed with the shift that Joey Gallo is going to hit 400 next year.
I know, but I remember talking like Don Magley a few years ago. Magley goes, how you beat the shift? Become a better hitter. He goes, shame on these guys for not knowing how to hit. And hey, Joey Gallo keeps hitting like that. You might as well bring in the left fielder, have him play second base. It's still going to cost Joey Gallo. So it's like, come on, you got to. What would Rod Carew or Tony Gwynn hit with the shift? 500, 600? It'd be amazing.
Last one from me, and you boys can fill it out after this. Rodriguez, in my opinion, a no-brainer. You feel like the Harris Award in the National League is the right pick, or did you feel it was more of a Strider year?
No, I thought it was Harris. I mean,
okay.
that team took off when he got there. Strider had an unbelievable year. When Strider got hurt during September, then it became one-sided. So I thought it was definitely Harris in the Cy Young votes. I mean, that would be landslides. I mean, Verlander may be unanimous. Alcantara may be unanimous. I think Judge wins in a landslide. Like, if I get 24 first place votes, and then nationally more interesting. I think Goldschmidt wins it, but closer. He had a fade in there in September, but I think he wins it over Machado and Arenado.
I don't know if I read it from you, Bob, but I think since Harris went to the Braves, there were 44 games over 500.
Yeah, it's unbelievable and nice young man. I mean, he's from the area. His parents and family all come to games, signed a long-term contract there. But yeah, just a real humble player, a fun guy to root for.
Is there any concern in the National League MVP race that Arenado and Goldschmidt will eat each other's votes, and that'll propel Machado to victory?
I don't think so. It may play a minor factor, but even you talk to Arenado, he'll tell you Goldschmidt was our MVP. He was steady all year long. He faded in September, and it cost him a couple of years ago when he finished second. He's got two runner-ups. And a lot of it will be like, this guy deserves to win one MVP for everything he does. Everything means in the clubhouse. Arenado does too. But yeah, I think Machado, the fact that they didn't win the division. Machado did carry that team, but I just think it's a Goldschmidt's to lose. I really do.
Ryan, anything before we wrap it up?
I guess my only question is that happens a lot, it feels like to me, where you have two guys that are really outstanding players. I figure they probably make each other better, right? Hitting in the same lineup and playing defense together, they're going to make each other better. How often do you see two MVP candidates on the same team, even if there's one that's clearly the winner?
It's been a while since we've seen this. I mean, the names that jump out the most is Bonds and Kent, back in the day. And I think what tipped the scales there, was when Dusty Baker said, I think Jeff Kent's the MVP of our team. So the voters, probably including myself too, voted for Kent. I think in this case, I talked to the Cardinals manager, Oli Marmol, and I said, the smart thing to do is don't say anything about who your MVP is, because it only can cause problem. And, I said that because I remember the way Barry Bonds was so upset at Dusty Baker for years because of what he said, believing that, Dusty might have cost him the MVP award.
It was before I was in daily radio. I was still just doing broadcast sports, but I think it was 05, and it was Pujols, Roland, Edmonds. And that was like everyone kind of had a conversation about how they'd shoot up votes for each other. And I don't know if it was as significant as what you're talking about, Bob, with Kent and Bonds, but I mean, it happens. You get a couple guys that just ride each other's momentum. I think it's there. I think it's a real thing.
Well, yeah, you certainly see that in the Cy Young voting where pitchers push each other. I mean, how about 3 straight years? It was Schilling number 2, Randy Johnson number 1. Just a few years ago, Verlander barely won over Garrett Cole. But yeah, I think you see a lot more in the Cy Young race with 2 pitchers pushing each other.
Bob, you're the absolute
Bob,
best.
I know
brother.
we could do a.
Oh, sorry, Van. That was my fault. Bob, you're the absolute best. Anything before we cut you loose?
No. Thanks for having me, and I always enjoy it.
Yeah,
lived in Albuquerque for a few years, so always dear to my heart.
Bob Nightengale, USA Today. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
What a good dude. Had you met him, Ryan?
I've definitely crossed paths through the course of playing in the locker room, post game, whatever.
Got it's like an encyclopedia. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
how can you just like on a moment's notice? Well, shoot, I can do that with pro wrestling.
Yeah, well, I mean, great memory and naming the years and the awards. I mean, I know he gets a vote, but I can't remember what I had for lunch on Tuesday.
Well, with you, it was cinnamon flavored banana peel and and then like he'll hit them down the line too. He'll be like, so and so first, so and so second, and somebody squeaked in with some third place votes, and you're like, how do you know that, Bob? Like, what kind of love language do you have to where someone just whispers baseball statistics in your ear all the time?
His wife just has little flashcards for him every morning during breakfast.
Yeah.
I would have loved to. I didn't want to keep him too long, but I would have loved to hear his process for how he decides who he's going to vote for, because it sounded like he had to rank them 1 through 10. And I'm sure he does not take that decision lightly. So I would love to sit and maybe be a fly on the wall while he's doing that homework and really deciding which guy he's going to vote for in which slot.
So that's inside baseball again for the listeners of this program. I have been in sports talk radio for a long time, boys, like over 10 years. And I've been doing radio with Bob for over 10 years. And with that said, we often have him on before awards, and then I'll have him on afterwards because he can't talk about who he voted for or where until after the fact. But we'll definitely make an effort to get him in, and we'll do it sometime in December. And then he'll break all that stuff down because he's a dude like that. He's just loves the game. And, I think if I could peel off a little bit more time from it, would be, what is Major League Baseball doing so right to influx such good young talent? Because I think baseball right now is younger and better than I've seen it in my adult life. And that's like really inspiring to me for the growth of the game. But also, he might not be the source of that. We might need to go even higher for that. But I just love it right now.
Yeah, he's He's one of my favorite guests because,
Yeah.
big baseball dork here. And he is just, like you said, he's an absolute walking encyclopedia for baseball. And it's so fun to pick his brain and his perception. And he's like just a cool dude, too.
Cool dude.
Like, he doesn't have to get super analytic and, go back through his encyclopedia. He can also just be one of the boys and hang out and have some fun.
So I feel. We're wrapping it up today because it's that time. Thanksgiving is next week. We'll have a conversation about how we're going to make a program happen, if we're going to make a program happen, but we're not afraid to take a holiday off here because, we got families. We got stuff going on.
Sure.
We got a long life or whatever. You got a big weekend this weekend, Ryan. You and the missus, do you do like matching outfits? Like it's the first one with the baby. Is the emphasis going to be there? Like what's the anxiety level?
So my biggest focus this weekend is that my 5-month-old daughter that can barely hold her head up is the flower girl at this wedding.
So
Aww.
smart.
Which means Ryan is the flower boy. I have been finding videos all over Instagram and TikTok of the most flamboyant, most wonderful, most fantastic flower boy dances. And I will try to get a video for you boys. We can share on the program the next time we do this. So I will be holding a little girl in a purple dress and flinging petals every which way.
Try Googling flower boy, BOI, and see if you get different results.
Okay. I'll let you know what I find.
I don't want to spoil the dance, but quick question. You going wicker basket or are you going fanny pack? What's the go-to?
See, my first thought was fanny pack because I have a couple very good fanny packs in my collection. But it's my sister's wedding. I got to go with what she wants. I think I got a nice wicker basket.
Inside or outside?
I don't know. I think it's outside. It's in California, Southern California. So I think the weather's supposed to be really great. But I haven't seen the venue, so I'm not 100% sure yet.
I believe that would be a factor for me in my decision.
Sure.
In the fanny pack versus wicker basket conversation?
If I'm outside, I'm going fanny pack for sure. There's too many elements, too many variables. If I'm inside, controlled environment, I can trust the situation. Let's go like Little Red Riding Hood the whole way.
I didn't even consider that. Maybe I will bring a fanny pack as a backup option.
Low key, you can put the fanny pack inside of the wicker basket.
Maybe I can.
Everyone's happy.
I could cinch the fanny pack and put it around my daughter, and she could hold the fanny pack. I might be getting out of control here.
Is it checked luggage, or are you going to get one whenever you get there?
No, check. I have one. I have two actually.
So stupid that you have that already.
Yeah. I have two of them.
Now, hear me out. You could go David Blaine style and like act like you forgot your basket and then bam, just start shooting petals out of your sleeves kind of thing.
Toss the wicker basket over my shoulder in a very flamboyant display of revealing the fanny pack.
Also, I used to date a Disney princess, and I can show you how to do the reverse pirouette that just turns the whole room to you. Because I learned it whenever she accidentally did it in a grocery store one time, and I couldn't handle it because it was so weird. But I could teach it.
Off camera after the show, I'm in.
Boys, final words.
Thanks for joining us. Another great episode, boys.
And we will see you next time.
Good job, everyone. GG.